Have you ever looked around and felt like something's off? Like the world is teetering on the edge of a massive change? You're not alone, and history might just have the answers we're looking for. Today, we're diving deep into the rise and fall of great empires, not as a dusty history lesson, but as a mirror reflecting our own modern world. What can the Romans, the Ottomans, or the British Empire teach us about today? The lessons are more relevant than you might think. Let's start with a giant, Rome. For 1,000 years, the Roman Republic and then the Empire dominated the known world. They gave us aqueducts, roads, laws, and a blueprint for civilization. But then, it crumbled. Why? Historians point to a cocktail of reasons. One of the biggest was overextension. The empire grew so vast it became impossible to govern effectively. Communication was slow, military forces were stretched thin, and the borders were constantly under threat. Does that sound familiar? In our globalized world, we face similar challenges of managing vast, interconnected systems, from supply chains to the internet, where a single point of failure can have cascading effects. Another key factor in Rome's decline was economic instability. Constant wars drained the treasury. To pay for them, emperors devalued their currency, mixing cheaper metals into their silver coins. This led to rampant inflation. People lost faith in their money. The gap between the ultra-rich elite and the impoverished masses grew wider and wider. This economic disparity fueled social unrest and instability. When people feel the system is rigged and they have no hope for a better future, the social contract starts to fray. It's a pattern we see repeated throughout history, and it's a warning light for any society that ignores growing inequality. Then there's political corruption and decay. The late Roman Empire was plagued by a series of weak, ineffective, and often corrupt emperors. The political system became paralyzed by infighting and civil wars. Trust in institutions evaporated. Citizens became apathetic, disengaged from a political process they felt no longer served them. This erosion of civic virtue is a silent killer for any society. When people stop believing in their leaders and their government, the very foundation of the state begins to crack. Let's jump forward a few centuries to the Ottoman Empire. At its date, it was a multicultural, multi-religious powerhouse, a hub of science, art, and trade. But it, too, fell into decline. A major reason was a failure to adapt. While Europe was experiencing the Renaissance, the scientific revolution, and the Industrial Revolution, the Ottoman Empire largely resisted these changes. They clung to old military tactics and economic models, falling further and further behind technologically and industrially. By the 19th century, they were known as the sick man of Europe. This is a critical lesson for us. In an age of exponential technological growth, from AI to biotech, the inability to adapt and innovate isn't just a disadvantage, it's a death sentence. Any nation or civilization that puts its head in the sand will be left behind by the tides of progress. Now, let's look at a more recent example. The British Empire, the empire on which the sun never set. Its power was built on naval dominance, industrial might, and a global trade network. But what brought it down? World Wars I and II played a massive role, draining Britain of its wealth and manpower. The cost of maintaining a global empire became unsustainable. But just as importantly, the ideas of self-determination and nationalism grew stronger across the globe. People in India, Africa, and elsewhere no longer accepted being ruled by a distant power. The moral and political justification for empire had crumbled. The lesson here is about the power of ideas. You can't indefinitely suppress the human desire for freedom and self-government. Power isn't just about armies and economies. It's also about legitimacy and the consent of the government. When that's lost, control soon follows. So, what do all these fallen giants tell us about our world today? Are we Rome? It's a popular comparison, and there are certainly parallels. We see massive military spending, a growing gap between rich and poor, political polarization, and questions about the sustainability of our global reach. We see our own version of bread and circuses in the form of endless entertainment and consumer culture, potentially distracting us from deeper societal problems. We also see parallels with the Ottomans' failure to adapt. Are our educational and political systems keeping pace with the speed of technological and social change? Are we having the right conversations about the future of work, the ethics of AI, or the challenge of climate change? Or are we clinging to outdated ideologies and institutions, unable to face the realities of the 21st century? And like the British Empire, we're seeing a shift in global power dynamics, the unipolar moment after the Cold War is over. New powers are rising, challenging the old order. The very idea of a single nation dominating the globe is becoming obsolete in an increasingly multipolar and interconnected world. But here's the crucial point. History is not destiny. These stories of collapse are not prophecies. They are warnings. They highlight the fault lines, the recurring patterns of failure that societies tend to fall into. Overextension, economic inequality, political corruption, failure to innovate, and the loss of social cohesion. These are the symptoms of a civilization in distress. Unlike the Romans, we have the benefit of all this history. We can see the patterns. We have communication technologies that would have seemed like magic to them, allowing us to share information and organize on a global scale. The question is, will we use this knowledge? The fall of an empire isn't usually a single, dramatic event like a meteor strike. It's a slow-motion process. It's a series of bad decisions, of ignored warnings, of a gradual erosion of the things that once made a society strong. It happens when people lose faith in the future, in each other, and in their shared institutions. But the reverse is also true. Renewal is also a process. It happens when people decide to engage, to demand better from their leaders, to bridge divides, and to invest in a shared future. It happens when we prioritize long-term stability over short-term gain, and when we have the courage to adapt to new realities. The future isn't written yet. The story of our time is still being told, and every single one of us has a role to play in writing the next chapter. The lessons from the fall of empires are clear. The real question is, are we listening? Thanks for watching. If you found this journey through history thought-provoking, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the forces that shape our world. Let me know in the comments which historical empire story you find most relevant today. See you next time.